everybody. Today we are going to continue learning about statistics. Yesterday you all spent some time looking at mean absolute deviation. You had those 3 easy steps to find it. Today we're going to continue kind of talking about some similar ideas. We're going to focus on some ways to display data, specifically box and whisker plots. So your goal today is going to be to follow along with the notes, filling them out yourself, and then you'll have 2 problems to finish at the very end by yourself. Make sure when you're finished that you show the sub so they can check off that you've completed your work and that you complete your DMR for day 2. So let's go ahead and get started. We said we're going to work on displaying data today for statistics, and the main way we're going to look at is box and whisker plots. So let's first remind ourselves what kind of information we can get from statistics. Remember, statistics is the science of collecting and analyzing data. And some of the important words that we talked about yesterday, we talked about mean, median, mode, and range. I guess we talked about that last week. Today we're going to kind of be reviewing some of those ideas so that we can use it to look at box and whisker plots. So the first thing we're going to look at is just kind of what are the important pieces of data in box and whisker plots, and it uses some of those familiar words that we've talked about. First, we're going to start with this side over here, the minimum. Remember, the minimum just means the lowest number. Then we have the lower quartile. That's the middle of the lower half. So if this is broken into halves, the first half we have, and here's the middle of the lower half. Then we have the median, which we know is the number in the middle of a list. And for the upper half of the data, we have the middle of the upper half called the upper quartile. And we have the maximum. Remember, maximum just means the largest number in the data set. Let's kind of remind ourselves again, what are those vocabulary words we just talked about? Underline with me, please, on your paper. First, we have the minimum value, meaning the smallest number, So that's going to be an easy thing to place first. Then we have the lower quartile. That is the value below for the lower 25%. We could call that the middle of the lower half. Take a second and write that down. The lower quartile is the middle of the lower half, the number in the middle. It's kind of like saying the median of the lower half, the number in the middle. Pause if you need to. Up next, we have the median value. Remember, median is just the middle number. That's in the entire range of numbers, so the middle of the entire list. It ends off that second quarter of the data. But again, the most important thing is it's the middle of the entire list of numbers. Next, we have the upper quartile. These two are very similar, the lower and the upper quartile. So the difference for the lower one we said was the middle of the lower half. Okay, so the upper quartile is the middle of the upper half, or the higher half. Middle of the upper half. Take a second to write it down. Pause it if you need to. And then the last piece of data we're looking for is the maximum value. Again, that's one of the easier ones to find because it's just the largest number in the list. Pause if you need to get caught up. Make sure all of this is on your paper. And now we're going to get into the page where we can really kind of practice this. So for every set of data that we have, we're first going to look at the pieces of information we need, the minimum, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and the maximum. It's not super big deal which one you do first. To me, I like to do the median and the minimum and the maximum first because those are really easy to find. And then I probably do the median next. Again, you don't have to go in that order, but that might be helpful to you. First things first, I'm going to put them in order from least to greatest. Least to greatest. That's going to help us find those pieces of important information. So for this list, it looks like the 60 is the lowest number. After the 60, the next lowest number looks like 65. I'm just going to keep going, putting them in order. Then I have 70, 70, 75. After 75, I could do my 80s. There's 2 sets of 80. Remember, you're following along, doing this on your paper with me. Pause when you need to. Next, I have 85, 90, and 100. So here's my list of data. Now I need to find the minimum and the maximum. We said those are the easiest ones, so we might as well do those first. 60 is the minimum. It was the lowest number. Remember, this is all about just displaying the data, showing important parts of it. The maximum is the highest number. So look, I've already got 2 pieces done. Next one, I think the easiest one to find next is the median. Okay, well, we know how to do median. We find the numbers in the middle. Remember, we could either use like the rainbow method to do that until we get to the number in the middle. We can cross them out if we want to. I would probably either use the rainbow method or maybe use my fingers to find what's in the middle. It looks like this time we have 2 numbers in the middle, 75 and 80. So we have to figure out what would actually go between them. How do you do that? You can just find the mean of those 2 numbers. 75 plus 80 is 155. And there's 2 numbers, so I'm going to divide by 2. And that gives me 77.5. 77.5. So my median is 77.5. So already we have 3 pieces done. What's our next pieces we need to find? The lower quartile and the upper quartile. Okay, well, these are just the middle of the lower half and the upper half. So I might go ahead and divide my numbers in half. All I'm doing is just drawing a line through the very middle. That's where that median would go, right? Okay, so now I can see there's the lower half and I have the upper half. For these halves, I'm just finding the number in the middle of that list. So for the lower half, the middle looks like it's the number 70. And the upper half, the number in the middle of the list is 85. So lower quartile was 70. Upper quartile was 85. Done. I'm just mapping the information onto the graph so that we can see how the data is spread out, finding those important pieces of information. Let's do a couple more together. This next one should look really similar. We looked at this same data last week when we were doing things like mean, median, mode, and range. Remember, our goal is to display the most important pieces of information, so the pieces on this list. Let's go through and put things in order first. The lowest temperature on here was 63. The next lowest looks like it's 72. I'm just going to keep putting them in order from least to greatest. Make sure you're doing this on your paper. Okay, I ran out of room a little bit. I had to kind of squish it a little bit better, but that's okay. So I'm looking at my list. I can see the lowest number is 63. So there's my minimum. The highest number is 88. There's my maximum. And now remember, the median is the number in the middle of the list. In the middle of this list, looks like that's the number 76. That was easy. I didn't have to divide on that one. And now I'm talking about my lower and upper quartiles. I'm looking for the number in the lower half and the upper half. So let's go ahead and split this up into halves. We had the number in the middle, so that would be the very, very middle. I'm just going to put a line underneath and show now I have my lower half. So there's 3 numbers in the lower half. The middle number looks like it's 72. So lower quartile is 72. We can do the same thing for the upper half. Here's my upper half, which I had to squeeze in over here. So I have 79, 84, and 88 in the upper half. The number in the middle was that 84. So my upper quartile is 84. So that was actually really quick. I just put them in order, found the minimum, the maximum, found the median, and then again, the lower quartile and upper quartile, and I just mapped it onto the graph. Let's do one more of these together, and then we're going to skip around a little bit. So you'll end up with one of these to do on your own, where you're just finding those bits of information, then a couple problems that you can practice. Okay, so looking at this one, this is data showing the student and how many hours they spent per week studying. Just like last time, we want to start by putting them in order from lowest to highest. So I first have 0, and then I have 2.5. Then it looks like I have 3.25, 4, 5, 6, and 9.5. So I have 7 numbers in this data. Got them all. Pause and take a minute. Think about which one is the minimum and the maximum, and fill in your minimum and maximum. Hopefully you said the minimum was the 0 because that was the lowest number. The maximum was the 9.5 because that was the highest number. And next we should be looking at our list to find the median. Take a second and find the number in the middle. You should have said 4. So the median is 4. Make that a little bit easier to see, 4. And then again, we have to find the lower half and the upper half. 4 was our number in the middle. So that's kind of our break point between the two halves, right? I've got the lower half and the upper half. Find the number in the middle of those lists so that you can do your lower quartile, upper quartile. You should have said the number in the middle for the lower half was 2.5. And the number in the middle for the upper half was 6. Perfect. Done. So we were able to pull out all of the important pieces of information from this data, seeing that some students study 0 hours, some students study 9.5 hours in a week. That's a lot. And then we also kind of have these pieces in between, the people who fall right in the middle. We're going to save this next one for you to do with a partner. You can go ahead and star it, circle, whatever makes you happy. We're going to save that one for you to do with a partner. And then here's our last set. So we're going to do one more box and whisker plot together. We're going to save this mean median mode problem for you to do with a partner. And then we'll do one absolute deviation problem, mean absolute deviation. That was what you did yesterday. So let's go ahead and do, again, we said we're going to do one more of these box and whisker plot problems. I'm going to use this space down here underneath the box because it's just giving me more space to put them in order. So again, I'm starting from lowest to smallest, or lowest to largest, least to greatest. 53 is first, then 67, then 70, 73. Go ahead and put them in order from least to greatest. Finish out the list. So hopefully your list looks like mine. You have 10 numbers in order from least to greatest. Take a look at your list and find the minimum and maximum and place them on your chart. Minimum and maximum. You should have said the minimum was 53 and the maximum was 100. Then finding the median next. The two numbers that lie in the middle for me were 76 and 80. Your list should look the same. So since there's two of them, we got to find the mean. So 76 plus 80 is 156. And 156 divided by 2 is 78. So the median is 78. And now, again, I need to find the lower half and the upper half. So for my lower quartile, lower half, I'm starting in the very middle of the list. Here's my first half, my lower half. Number in the middle is 70. Then I have the upper half going the other direction. The number in the middle of that list is 89. Done. Should be hopefully quick and easy. So again, you're going to have this next one to do with a partner. So far we've had 2 boxes that we've skipped for you to do with a partner. And then we're going to do one more together. Remember, this was what we did yesterday. So yesterday we talked about mean absolute deviation. You can use your notes if you get stuck. But let's start with this first list, and we're going to do this one together. Remember, our first goal is to find the mean. So we're going to start by adding all of these together, seeing what we get. Take a second, add them together. Pause it if you need to. You should have added them together to get 68. And there are 5 numbers, so we're going to divide by 5. We can see the mean is 13.6. Now we need to find the absolute value part. So we're going to find the distance between these numbers and the mean, starting with 12. So I have bigger number minus smaller number. 13.6 minus 12 is 1.6. And then the next number, 13.6 minus 9, 4.6. Now again, bigger number first. So since the next number is 14, I'm starting with that. 14 minus 13.6 is 0.4. Next number, 17 minus 13.6 is 3.4. And the last one, 16 minus 13.6 is 2.4. So we've now found the mean. That was step 1. Step 2, we found those distances. Now step 3, find the mean of those distances. So we're going to have to add all of these together. Take a minute to add those together. You should have added them together to get 12.4. And again, there's 5 numbers, so I'm going to divide by 5. You should have gotten 2.48. So what was our mean absolute deviation? 2.48. So if this was my test on my computer or my quiz, that would be the answer I would enter in for my computer. All right, so looking to see what you have left, that's your job to finish. You have one question on the second page that we skipped. So that one about the car and the speed. That was a box and whisker plot problem. And then we have two problems left. So we have the mean, median, and mode problem. And then we also have that mean absolute deviation. So we're going to be looking for you to have completed the notes with the video, right? And then to finish those remaining 3 problems. Don't forget to finish and show your sub so they can check off that you've done the work, and to do your DMR. Thank you guys. Have a great day.